what a nice crowd to have for your first game. I think we had, it says here we had 5,400 people there for our first home game. And Sean, you help me, I don't know, I think that's the most we've had in my this is my fourth one, in my 4 years, this is the most we've had at the first game, so that was terrific. And to see that many students come out when there's other stuff going on was, yeah, it just warmed my heart. And then to have a performance like that on the 90-7 game, which means a lot to a lot of different people, was really nice. So, but we still have stuff to work on. I mean, the first thing that I saw there were those turnovers. And it's interesting, I thought we had a lot of turnovers, but I didn't think we had that many. And I think the reason is most of those turnovers came from guys trying to be unselfish. It was really not trying to force stuff. And we had a spurt there against the press, which we didn't practice against, so the guys were kind of winging it. So that's my fault. But it was really, really good to see having that many turnovers and not losing the points off turnovers margin. So with that, I'll open it up for you guys.
When you have 19 steals and force 27 turnovers, that is a lot to mask.
Yeah, you know, I always look at the turnovers first, but then I go right to the points off turnovers, because if you can close the gap with that, then it sort of kind of helps you. And, you know, most teams don't cause as many turnovers as we do, so that you give up 22 turnovers, that is you know, it's disastrous. For us, it's right now, it's less disastrous, but that's something we need to work on.
And you did 5 steals from Jared, but Ahmad had 6. So, I mean, you know, obviously you had another, that performance, to have 2 guys there.
Well, it's interesting. I never imagined that playing man would get us more steals than playing the 1-3-1. I really didn't. I thought, you know, the reason why I like playing man-to-man is because it helps you on the rebound. And you're guarding a guy, it's easier than playing zone. So it's really nice to see us getting as many steals as we did. And, you know, that team wasn't bad. I mean, those guys can play. And I hope they do well this season. But our guys, you know, it was fun to watch our guys play man-to-man, take a smack in the face, and then come right back.
Yeah, I actually got that pretty good gauge playing that team. I mean, pretty good athleticism.
Yeah, they were. We knew they were athletic, but we didn't realize they were as big. They were a little bit bigger than I thought they were going to be. But you know, when you do this long enough, you know when you've got 6 or 7 junior college guys coming in, you're going to play against guys who could play, because you have to be able to play if you go to junior college or you're done playing, and that are not afraid to come in an environment like this and do well. So I like the way our guys came out and sort of just wanted to set the tone for our side. And yeah, I think this was a very good first game for us. Not too easy.
How important do you think that executing man defense today was in Gabriel?
Well, it was really important because you know, that stretch in the second half when they scored like 5 times in a row, we calmed ourselves and shored up our D, and then we stopped them, I think, 8 times, maybe 8 or 9 times straight. So that's strictly your defense. And what happened for us that I'm hoping we can continue is that we were able to score off of those stops. You know, we like to keep track of how many times we stop somebody and then convert on the other end, because that's it. You keep that margin high, you're going to win a lot of games.
Coach Ahmad Starks had a really good game today. Can you talk about his improvement this season from last season?
Well, you know, Ahmad's one of these guys who is a basketball junkie and an aficionado of the game. And he knew at the end of last season what he needed to work on. He needed to get stronger. He needed to be more confident taking that 3-point shot. More aggressive, I should say, not confident, more aggressive, because he was certainly a true point guard when we recruited him. He just liked to pass it and set it up for other guys. We need him because he's such a good shooter to bang that shot and open things up for us. quite as good as Jared, but he's catching up on the defensive end.
Like you guys shot real well until you got choppy there.
Yeah, and I need to watch the tape because I see this 0 for 7 in the second half, and I really think we took 2 shots that I thought we just missed. But the other must have been 5 were at the end of the shot clock. And this is interesting because to me, while I'm watching the game, the feeling I got, we were trying to be too unselfish instead of taking what's right there because we were up. And it was a very interesting phenomenon. We were missing shots because we were being unselfish. And I think out of the 22 turnovers, I bet 8 or 10 of them were because we were being unselfish. So we'll have to take a look at the tape and figure out how we're going to get better at that. But, you know, the great thing is you win a game like this, and there's still stuff to work on. So it's set up perfectly for the next practice.
You got a nice all-around game from Joe and a big contribution off the bench here.
Yeah, well, you know, I have been saying to people who will listen to me that Joe Burton came back this year a completely different guy. And it is not, it's for the better, and it's not just on the basketball court. He has devoted himself to the classroom, he has devoted himself to the weight room, he has worked on his conditioning. I bet he played the most minutes. Yep, he played 33 minutes. You know, and that's what he does in practice. We'll be working on something, and he'll see that the second team or the third team's not doing it as well as an opponent would do it. He asks if he can flip his jersey over and in so he doesn't take a break at practice. So this kid has really matured in all phases of his life. And when you're doing this job, that's what gives you that good feeling. And then to see him have success out on the court, you just hope he can continue because he's put in the time, the effort, and really the mindset of his has changed. Now, Eric, on the other hand, you know, we all in our program knew that if we could ever get Eric to calm down, he was going to be a good player. He is super excitable, and it's good. You got to have guys like that in your program. He's high energy, flighty sometimes, and sometimes he doesn't have the greatest practices. But I tell you what, he's matured. This is the second mature game he's played. That exhibition game, I told him it was the most mature game he played until this one. This one was even more mature. You know, he had one point there where he was going to dribble that ball up and try and take it all the way. And I'm telling him, no, you played such a great game, don't blow it. And he pulled up past it, and he looked at me like he was completely disappointed. But with most kids, he's going to look back at that and say, yeah, that was the right decision. And so I couldn't be happier with the way he's coming along. Still, again, we all have work to do, but you know, if you can get that kind of production off the bench, that's pretty good.
Could you talk about Joe Burton? You know, I apologize if you already have, but
Yeah, no, I just think that Joe has he's really dedicated himself to being a better all-around individual, not just basketball player. I mean, he's given himself over in the weight room, he's given himself over in practice, but he has completely changed in the classroom. I bet he ends up with a 3.0 this quarter. He is one of our most responsible. He's not a captain, but he acts like one, but very much one of the team leaders. And he's got a way about him that when Joe says something, people listen, and that helps us out as a team.
Was he a green light on those threes?
When he's open and he's got his feet set, I'm telling you, he worked on every aspect of his game. And, you know, I was happy. He just changed his foul shots, and it was good to see him make them because you know how kids are today. If you show them something that doesn't work, they get cynical, and he's stuck with it. Just, again, maturity.
Coach, at one point towards the end of the first half, he pulled Charlie Barton out, sat him down, and he said something to him and put him back into the game. Can you talk about that?
Let me think what he did. Oh, yeah, he probably threw the ball away because that's what when I put them in, I said, look, we have a little bit of lead. What you can't do is stupid foul and throw the ball away. So what did he do? Stupid foul and threw the ball away. And he's a freshman. And you know what? We take for granted, not only is he a freshman, he's a foreigner. But his English is so good that we take for granted that there's a lot of stuff about over here that he doesn't get. I mean, he's been playing European rules his whole life. He doesn't even know what a 1-and-1 is. You know what I mean? They don't shoot 1-and-1s. And they can run in whenever they want. He just needed to calm down. And he's just a freshman. He had to calm down. And I told him, the only mistakes you'll make is if you do something stupid mentally or you throw the ball away. So just relax. If you take a shot and it doesn't go in, I'm not going to be mad. I want you to get out there and get some experience. Just don't throw the ball away. So that was what I said it obviously shorter than that and wanted to put him back in. But you know how kids are. He looked over at me and I was mad, and I didn't want him to think that I was mad and he wasn't going to play well. I needed him to know I was mad, what I was mad about, and then put him back in and say, just chill. I forgot about that too. I completely forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple more games right away here. Do you know anything about these two?
No, we should, West Alabama either play a game or is going to play a game. We should get a tape from them. So we'll have a little bit more than we had on Cal Bakersfield. And then by the time we play Hofstra, we should have something. So we'll be able to give the guys a little bit better of a scout. But I tell you, our staff did a very good job preparing us, given that you got a new coach, a bunch of new players. My staff did a great job. Then what we have been very good at since I've been here, we've always been good at this. We figure out who their two best players are, and we really shut them down, or try to in the second half. And in this game, we weren't sure who they were going to be. We had an idea, and our guys took care of them in the second half. And that's always good when your team can respond like that. And they had no real scouting report. All right, so Monday, right?